We all think we know how important diet is, right? But what if a simple change, something you do every day, could actually help starve one of the deadliest cancers? Well, a fascinating new study has uncovered a really surprising weakness in liver cancer, and the key, it turns out, might be hiding right on our dinner plates.
Okay, but before we dive into that, let's get a handle on the stakes here, because this isn't some minor issue we're talking about. Liver cancer is a really serious and growing problem, and that means the need for new ways to fight it is, well, it's more urgent than ever. Just look at this number, 22%. That is the 5-year survival rate for liver cancer here in the US. That is stark. It's a notoriously difficult disease to treat, partly because it's often caught way too late, and all of that makes it a particularly deadly diagnosis. And check this out, the group of people at risk, it's huge. Roughly 1 in every 4 adults in the US has fatty liver disease. Now, that's a major precursor, a stepping stone that can lead to cirrhosis and eventually to cancer. So we're not talking about some rare condition here. This is a widespread issue that's basically setting the stage for this disease. So, for years, scientists kept noticing this strange clue in patients with liver cancer. Something was up. Their bodies were struggling with a substance that's normally no big deal, ammonia. And this little clue, it would end up leading to a major breakthrough. So, what's the deal with ammonia anyway? Well, whenever you eat protein, your body makes ammonia as a waste product. Normally, a healthy liver is like this amazing processing plant. It grabs that toxic ammonia, converts it into something harmless called urea, and boom, you get rid of it. Simple. But in a diseased liver, that whole system just breaks down, and the ammonia, it starts to pile up. And this led to a really big question that puzzled scientists for decades. Was this ammonia buildup just a side effect, just a symptom of a failing liver that already had cancer? Or was it something more sinister? Could the ammonia itself actually be fueling the fire, literally helping the cancer grow? All right, so to finally crack this mystery, researchers at Rutgers came up with a really clever experiment using mice. Their goal was to isolate the effect of ammonia, to see exactly what it was doing to these tumors, once and for all. So here's the game plan. First, they gave the mice liver tumors. Then, and this is the smart part, they used gene editing tools to basically switch off the ammonia processing machinery in some of those mice. That made their ammonia levels shoot up. So now they could do a direct apples-to-apples comparison between mice with high ammonia and mice with normal levels, even though both groups had tumors. And the results? Wow, they were crystal clear. The mice with high ammonia, they developed much bigger tumors, and they died a lot faster. This was the proof they needed. The high ammonia wasn't just a byproduct. It was actively making the cancer worse. But how? Well, the researchers figured that out too. It turns out the cancer cells were basically hijacking all that excess ammonia. It wasn't just piling up like toxic trash. No, the tumors were actively grabbing it and using it as a raw material, like a fuel source, to build everything they needed to multiply and grow. And that discovery pointed to a really simple but potentially powerful new strategy. I mean, think about it. If ammonia comes from protein and ammonia is fueling the cancer, what happens if you just cut off the supply? What if you reduce the amount of protein in the diet? And would you look at that? The result was absolutely striking. The mice that were fed a low-protein diet had dramatically slower tumor growth, and they lived a lot longer than the mice on a standard diet. They were, in effect, starving the cancer of one of its favorite fuels. Okay, so this all sounds incredibly promising, right? But hold on. Before anyone rushes out and changes their diet, there is a very important warning here. The researchers are super clear about who this might apply to, and maybe even more importantly, who it doesn't. Look, this potential strategy is really only for people whose livers are already compromised. We're talking about existing liver cancer, fatty liver disease, cirrhosis, things like that. If you have a healthy liver, your body handles a normal amount of protein just fine. This is a very targeted idea for people with pre-existing conditions where their liver just can't process ammonia correctly. And the lead researcher, Dr. Zhang, he makes this point really clear. He specifically cautions against just deciding to go on a low-protein diet yourself. And here's why, and it's a bit of a twist. Cancer care often requires more protein, not less, to help patients keep their muscle mass and strength during treatment. So cutting protein too much could totally backfire, making someone weaker and actually doing more harm than good. So the big takeaway here is absolutely crucial. This is not a do-it-yourself diet plan.
It's a medical insight, and it has to be managed by a doctor who can carefully weigh all the risks and benefits for a specific person. The goal here is nuanced, right? It's about managing ammonia levels, not just blindly eliminating protein and compromising a patient's overall health. You know, this research really opens up a fascinating new frontier. The idea that by understanding a tumor's specific appetite, its unique needs, we might be able to use something as basic as diet to help control its growth. That's huge. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could the future of cancer care be found right on our plate? Could carefully prescribed nutrition become a standard tool in our fight against diseases like this? It's a really powerful thought.